Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name's Joni Young. If you're new here, thanks so much for joining. Today I'm going to show you how to paint this winter landscape. I'll list all the colors and brushes and the size canvas we're using in the description below this video. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoy learning this today. So we're just going to start off with a large blending brush. I'm using a round chalk brush. I've got white and black on my brush, making a soft gray tone. I'm going to start by creating a big circle in the center of this canvas. And I'm going to continue making it bigger and bigger, adding a little bit more black, and eventually I'll come in with a little bit of blue. So all I'm doing, guys, is just creating a gray background. It's going to be a little bit lighter in the center here where we're going to have our cabin. I'm using equal parts of black and white, and you can use any black or white that you have. You can even use gray if you've already got that mixed up in a bottle. And I'm using a large round chalk brush. Now this is a 3-inch, and it's really nice for blending. So it doesn't really matter how you paint your background, as long as you get it a little bit lighter in the center. I do tend to like to create a round shape towards the center of interest in my painting. I think it just helps to draw you in. Okay, so now that we've got our dark gray background, I'm going to start building up in the foreground here. So I'm actually going to use a little bit of ultramarine blue and phthalo blue. These are colored by Felix paints. They're very nice to use. I'll try to leave a link below in the description for you guys. So I've got a large mop brush, and you guys can use any size mop brush that you have. And I'm going to take a little bit of white, just a little bit here, in both of my blues. And I'm going to blend it into the black. And I want to start on the top. I'm going to go all across the top. Now, one thing about working on a black canvas that you should know is that the paint will dry darker. So you want to be a little bit more generous with your highlights. So you want to add a little bit more white to your colors where you really want them to show up. And I'm going to go down along in here as well. I'm just going to go right across like this. I'll pick up a little bit of white. Just tinting that background. So now I'm going to come in with some large trees in the background, and I'm going to be using this number 30, looks like a filbert brush, sort of a round filbert blending type of brush. And I'm going to take black first. Well, let's take a little bit of black and blue. Really load up our brush well. Okay, so I'm going to come in on this side. We'll continue layering all the way sort of up, starts to go up on an angle like this. And we'll just start, this one's going to be really tall. I'm going to start making little taps along the top. And then they're going to be bigger. See how you just push and tap. And there's one tree. And we'll begin our other one. I'm just going to make little ones like this. They can certainly overlap. You definitely want them to look like they're overlapping. I'm going to use a little bit more black in here. My paint's a little bit wet still there, so. And look how effortlessly you can make these trees. This is a great brush to use. It's really like a large filbert brush. So if you have a filbert brush, you can do this. You can make trees with a fan brush as well. I'm just going to go over this one with a little bit more of my black. And let's just continue. And then we can just sort of start to pull a little bit like this. Give some shadow down here. And look at how it changes so drastically when you do that. Really sets them in so it doesn't look like they're floating trees. Now to get these ones on the top can be the trickiest for beginners. So if you want to switch to a really small brush just to do those ones that are on the top, definitely go ahead and do that. But you can manipulate your brush to make smaller ones. And just tap, and then as the tree gets fuller, you can tap side to side, making them fuller. I think this looks really cool already. Just want to have another one here on the end. And have it just going right past the canvas. This will help us feel like we're really in the foreground. I'm viewing this cabin and it looks so cozy and inviting. Create a little bit more shadow down here, just kind of dry brushing and scumbling. So I think I'll just take a little bit of the phthalo and mix that with some black and some white. Going to make that gray again, but I'm going to tint it with phthalo. Take a little bit more white, a little bit more, because we're working on a black canvas, so we want this to really show up. So I'm not going to have a whole lot on this side. I'm just going to kind of sporadically start adding little bits. We want to have some shadows in there, right? So I like that the black paint is still wet underneath. That way I'm able to get these midtones and gradually gradiate into our brightest highlights. And I want the snow to feel thick, so I'm going to use more paint. I'm going to load my brush up a little bit more. I'm going to come right down to here. I'm just going to keep going. Keeping it darker at the top the light is going to be hitting the trees that's coming from the cabin. And maybe there's a full moon out too, and it's just casting its light down here. So I know this is going to dry a little bit darker, like I said before. And that's going to really give us that mood that we want. Very subtle. Doesn't it just feel like we're really out in the woods on a really cold, cozy winter night? Well, it's only cozy if you've got this cabin to go into and sit by the fire and, oh, maybe have some hot chocolate. I like to imagine what I would be doing, imagine myself in the painting, in the cabin itself. That really helps you enjoy what you're painting, and you'll, without realizing it or, purposely doing it, you'll really create that mood without knowing it. If you can feel it, it will come out naturally into your painting. So don't paint if you're in an angry mood. Okay, so I'm going to take a little bit more white now. I'm not washing my brush off. I'm just going to pick a few that I want to be a little bit brighter in here. And I might even have to add a little bit more once this dries. Okay, now I'm going to just pull and sweep. And I'm going to come over top with, there's a lot of blue in there, so I'm just going to take, that looks kind of pretty, but I'm going to take a little bit of white. I'm going to add this color here, and then I'm going to really blend this to get all those, most of those streaks out. I'm just going to switch over to a large flat brush. This is a number 12. Right across the bottom, bringing some shadow in there. You don't want to forget about our shadows at the bottom. And I'm going to take more white. The next brush I'm going to use is my cat's tongue brush, and this is a number 8. So you see how it's a little pointy on the tip? Now you can use a round brush, a liner brush, or even a filbert brush if you want. And I'm just going to take some more of my light gray, light blue, light bluey gray color here. I'm just going to push, kind of roll and tap. Just to add a little bit more light to these trees, because these are going to be getting that light from the cabin. And I'm using this brush because I can get more of the tree branch look with the tip of my brush, just a little bit more of that detail. So see how I curve my brush down a little bit like that? This helps to make these trees, these branches, kind of look like they're heavy and weighed down by all of that snow. All right, so I'm gonna go in here for another layer. Now this canvas is pretty wet down here, so what I'm gonna do is dry this off, and then I'll come in with my next layer and start on the cottage. Okay, so I think this is dry enough to start our next layers. I think I'm going to use this one. I'll show you guys how to create a little cabin or house with an angular brush. This is a number 12. And I'm actually going to take a little bit of burnt sienna. I've got some burnt sienna here by Arteza. We want to create some warmth, right? So this cabin is going to be that warmth. So use a little bit of burnt sienna for the cabin, and then some warm peachy tones for the light coming inside. Okay, so I'm going to take a little bit of black and some of my burnt sienna. We're going to do a very basic, super easy cottage, okay? Anybody can do this, cottage or cabin, whatever you want yours to be. We'll do a little square right there, go across this way because it's a log cabin. We'll do a line like that. Now this side's going to be darker. This is the shadow side. Come across here, and then it's always a shame when you have to cover up something in the background that you really like. That tree I really like, and I'm upset I have to cover that up, but that's part of painting. And we'll just come right in here, make that a little bit longer. Yeah, it's nice having an angular brush because you can fit in all these little angles. Just going to take a little bit of white with my burnt sienna. I'm going to go across, pull lines to create that log cabin feel. Then go down from the top, and if you can't really fit up there, right? If we turn it this way, that's not going to work. So just go as far up as you can, and then just turn your brush this way. I think we'll just make this a little bit longer. I'm going to make this roof line a little bit lower. So it kind of goes up and then drops down lower like this. This kind of will just give it a little bit more character, I think. And then I can see a little bit more of the trees back there. And we're gonna dry this off and then start our next layer. Actually, before I do that, I just want to take a little bit more black. Just do some little dabs in here. Maybe for the logs on either side to make this really look like a log cabin. And then we'll put a little bit of snow. Make that a little bit thicker. Turn my brush with the black. Fan it out like that. A line across. Let's go inside with a shadow. I'm gonna go underneath the roof line here with black and blue, or just black if you want. I always like to tint my blacks and my whites. Make it a little bit bumpy there for some more logs. There we go. And then I'll add some snow on the roof. But I just want to dry this off first. Okay, so I've got a clean flat brush here, and I'm going to take my blue-gray color. You can use a little bit of the ultramarine blue too, whatever. Okay, and these loose hairs. Living with 3 cats and a dog, it's constant hair. Okay, I'm just gonna slide down this side and that side, just to add some snow on there. And you could tap, maybe it's a little bit brighter on that side, so you could tap in a little bit of white. And then I'm going to come down across the top. Right across the bottom there. I'm going to add some, just using the corner of my brush. Then I'll add some lines right in here. And we will be doing a nice highlight here, light from the inside of the cabin that falls on the snow out here after. And I've left a little spot here. I'm going to be adding a chimney. So I'll go ahead and do that right now. I'm going to use a little bit of black. Anything that'll make this show up. And I'll just do a little shadow like that. I'll take a bit more of my black, come right in here. And just tap in some more shadow. Give this a little bit more shadow as well. There's a bit of an overhang there, so it's creating some more shadows. Just with a little flat brush. This is a number 4 flat brush. I'm just going to come down here. Make it look like those boards have a little bit of darker lines in them. And down here as well, come in between. And I'm going to take a little bit of white with my burnt sienna. And I'll start making a door. I'm actually going to do some white inside here. And then I'll dry it off. I need to create a little puff of smoke here, so I'm just going to use my light blue-gray color again and add a little bit of snow on the top. Add a little bit of snow highlight right there, and then I'm going to, the corner of my brush, wiggle, wiggle, push and smush like that, and with another brush, just wiggle and blend it out like that. And then I'm going to soften if you want with a dry brush. Okay, I'm going to take a smaller flat brush now. This one's a number 2. And I'm just going to carefully sort of outline this. And then I'm going to come in with some windows. I'll do 3 like that. Just mix up a little bit of my light blue. Just for a little window frame. We should put let's put a few more windows in. Maybe we can put one right in here and one on the top. I'm going to go inside, tap, few little lines, one down the middle, and then two across. And I'm going to take Luminous Yellow by Holbein. I'm going to use my clean and dry #2 flat brush. And I'm going to take a little bit of that luminous yellow with some white. I'm going to carefully go inside each window. Now if we cover up those little lines that we had there, that's okay. We can easily add those after, but they might show through once this is dry. Take a little bit extra white with that light yellow color that's kind of making, it's more of a, I'm just going to add a little bit more right in here. It's called Luminous Yellow, but it's more of a neon orange. Let's add some light below. I'm going to take a little bit more with a larger brush this time. We'll have a little bit of light down here, just a little hint. Maybe there's some light on the other side that we can add as well. So this is when you want to be careful, making sure that you add enough white to your luminous yellow, because yellow and blue will make green. So if you don't want yours to look green, then you're going to have to balance it out with more of the white. Now I'm going to take just a little bit of my phthalo and white again. I'm going to just continue to add a little bit more light down here, creating this feeling that we've got. Have the light going up here. I'll be using a liner brush for this. I'm going to get my liner brush wet. I'm going to take a little bit of blue and black. Just outline this a little bit better. That line down to the bottom. And I'm not even going to worry if it's not straight. Don't worry about it, guys. Just do little lines. And we'll just start pulling in some bits of grass, some weeds that are poking through. Right down here. Or we can add a little bit of subtle bits of snow and light on that snow. As it gets darker here, we'll use less white and more of that blue. We've got a few old fence posts in here too. All sorts of little things. I'm just going to soften these and make them look a little bit fuzzier with my cat's tongue brush. So I'm just going to push and tap. We can make things look kind of fuzzy and frosty. I'm going to come in with my phthalo blue. And just start creating more of a shadow here. And I want to just sort of blur this up down here on the bottom. I'm kind of just taking this blue and creating sort of a filter. An atmosphere in the foreground. The rest of that blue on my brush, I can just come over, scumble over here, and layer over some of these trees. Adding just that light little bit of blue. Take some more of my white. Drag it over the top for another layer of snow. I want to drag it over so that it looks a little bit more natural. I'll add a little bit more in here. Take some more of my burnt sienna. And add some extra warmth now. Do a little frame like that too around the window. Just take a little bit of our luminous yellow. Just about done. Just add a little bit more light in here. I'm going to balance it out with some white because I added a little bit too much of the luminous yellow. Add some more. A little bit of white. Okay, so this painting is all done. I hope you guys had fun watching this one, and I'll see you next time soon in another video. Bye!